Hello fellow enjoyers of the AFL, it's Matt here with another Supercoach video, and yeah, this week, top 8% score 2219. It's not too bad. We've dropped in ranks, which is not ideal. I will say this score is sort of like if there was in between a par and a bogey on in golf terms, that's kind of what we got. So we'll get into the team. Now, you'll notice that this team is not... We need to undo changes. We've done a little movements. You'll notice that I had Brayshaw vice captain and Daicos captain. Reason for this is because I was scared about the whole Harry Boyd situation, and I have no loops. All my players play, so I was a little bit spooked. I should have known better that really they're just taking Harry Boyd back so he can hang out with his family in South Australia. But I think the thing that got me was the fact that it was Isaac Keeler who's managed. And I'm like, kind of like for like, big guy getting rested, big guy comes in. But anyway, so that was a contributor to my bad, to my score, because the plan would have been TDK to Brayshaw most likely. But then in saying that, I was also tossing up between bringing in Naz and Brayshaw. We ended up with Brayshaw and we're very happy, right? But yeah, so if we'll have a little look at the trades that we did, it was Callaghan and O'Driscoll to Hall and Brayshaw. Now, I don't like the fact that O'Driscoll's money, we're using that towards fixing, Callaghan, but it works out because we've ended up getting, at the moment, I think the second or third highest scoring mid. So we're very happy that we've ended up with Brayshaw. But other than that, bad rookie fielding decisions, like Lindsay, Knevitt, Hall, both scored less than, Max Hall, Finn O'Sullivan, and Reid on the bench as well. So that's a bit annoying. And Zorko and Whitfield, they were the guys who really pushed me into the top 1%, into the top, right now 600. I thought they were the guys who pushed me up, but, this week they let me down. I guess the law of averages sort of just coming into play with those guys, but it is what it is. But yeah, look, if we look at my midfield last week, right, I don't know if you guys watched the previous video, I was kind of complaining about my midfield because it's like Ashcroft, Rosie, Chera, Oliver, and imagine that Levi Ashcroft here was Callaghan. We'll do a little swappy like that. Imagine that Brayshaw was Callaghan instead. So I'm thinking, man, Chera's doing weird stuff. He's playing half back. Rosie's not playing so well. Everyone's trading him out. I was just a bit uncomfortable with it. Whereas now, Rosie, this is the perfect scenario for him because we all thought, he'll do well while Butters is away. Now he's going to do well with Butters because he's playing half back, and the role suits him like perfectly. Like they're looking to get the ball in his hands. He uses it extremely well. He's a good long kick of the footy. It's perfect. It really is perfect. So very happy with that result there. Roberts 79, not ideal. I'm not going to be trading him, to be honest with you. I'm not one of those. I don't think it's worth trading him. If we have a little look at, let's project him at like 80s. Eventually, he's going to drop down to 400. How much what did we pay for him initially? What did we pay for him initially? What was it? 4? Well, actually, so he's gone down 30. He's gone up 35k. We paid about 435 for him anyway. So the worst case scenario, I think, is an 80 average from here on. For now, it keeps a rookie off the field, which in this case, if it's Zachary, that's a little bit of a problem. But nah, look, I'd rather have him than, having to field, a Knevitt, even like, say, a Lindsay, for example. I'm happy to hold on to Roberts. But anyway, we'll go into trades, right? And it works out very nicely that we can trade out 3 rookies this round who I think are at their end. Like, actually, they're not really at their end. But in saying that, Davidson, Hall, O'Sullivan, less so with O'Sullivan, Davidson and Hall have made some decent cash. We're probably cutting a little bit early. It'd suck if Davidson went and got 129 like he did a few weeks ago. But to get in the players that we're going to be bringing in, it's got to be done. So Cleary and Gross come in. We have 580k. Now, this is where the dilemma sort of sits in for me. George Hewitt. Nah, it's not happening. Matt Rowell is interesting as well. But there's two dudes. There's two dudes who we want, and it's Max Gawn and Nick Daicos. All right. I'm thinking. I feel like the obvious pick is Nick because we know what he can do. But I'm gonna look. If we do Nick Daicos, for example, and we go optimize, all of a sudden, so we're fielding these three rookies because Sheasel can move into the midfield. We can field Lindsay right there. We won't be able to field. I've played with this earlier. We can't field Cleary, unfortunately. We just don't have the spots. So move Gross to the flex position. Look, the team looks really good. And we've still got the freedom of having the flex position, which Gawn would get rid of. If we brought in Gawn, we'd have 4 rucks in those positions, and then the flex position is dead, basically. We can't move it around. But the thing that concerns me, not so much with Daicos himself, but this week he's got a break even of 121, which is very attainable for him against Brizzy because they don't really tag. Last few scores are very good against them. But then look at his next games. So he got a 92 the last time against Essendon, and I'm curious to see why. We're going to do a little digging there, see why he got 92. And then 89 against Geelong. Now, for Essendon, we're going to sneak over to taggers. Where's taggers? Tagging summary. We'll click onto Essendon. So, Clayton Oliver tagged by Setterfield. And it didn't, I guess fantasy-wise, it's not the worst. But the one that concerns me is Will Day tagged by Durham. I can't imagine that. What did Will Day get that round for Supercoach? Listen, I don't care about the fantasy points aspect. 77. So I think it's fair to assume if they're going to be tagging Will Day and Clary, that they're going to definitely tag Nick Daicos. And so I'm a little bit concerned with that. If we go to Geelong, who's the next game, Lockie Neal tagged by O'Connor, Brayshaw tagged by O'Connor. Maybe, I'm surprised to not see, so Blitzhouse tagging. I'm surprised that tagged by Atkins in 2023. I'm surprised to not see, like in the last couple of years, that Atkins hasn't been used as a run-with player. That seems a bit weird to me. But you can imagine that they'll try to match up with him as well. And then next, Freo, they don't tag. Adelaide don't tag. North, we don't tag unless we bring in Will Phillips as a little player there. So look, my only really concern for Daicos is that game against Essendon. In regards to Gawn, though, we look into Gawn. He has a break-even of 81, which very attainable by his standards. Last 2 games against Freo, not the best. But the thing is, if we have a look at, we'll go live scoring, for example. And we'll go to where is it? Richmond versus Freo. The ruck situation. So, he's the young, where is he? Sean Darcy's back, right? And he didn't do the best. He did okay, right? Low Tog, 63% time on ground. And then the other ruck, if we go by hit outs, was Voss. Going against Voss, he's going to win every single tap, man. Like, I like Voss's energy, and he's got a bit of moxie to him, but he's going to get smashed in the ruck by Gawn. And Nank averaged, he got a 125 against Freo. What do you reckon Gawn's going to do, man? Gawn's going to get like a 140, unless the one round of playing Darcy, maybe that's enough for them to, think, all right, we're ready to ramp up his minutes, and we can give him a good shot. But then I still think Gawn's going to do the biz. He'll be able to run around the ground a lot, freer than what Darcy will be. Just coming back from an injury, Darcy. And then you look at Richmond. His last 2 scores, he's averaged 168 in the last 2 games against Richmond, so he'll smash Nank. And then West Coast, we know is a good matchup. Surprisingly hasn't done great against them, but we know it's a good matchup, man. He's versing Bailey Williams. So if we do a little projection, right, 140, 150, 130, for example, he goes up to 650K. He goes up to 650K, and it's a shame that it blocks off our positioning of, what we can do. It gets rid of our versatility with the flex position, but we never had the flex position to begin with. This is a new thing. So, if I lose it, it is what it is. So I'm curious what you guys think of my reasoning here with wanting Gawn over Daicos. I don't know exactly. I don't know if I'm going to do it, to be honest with you. But for now, my mind, I'm not going to say my heart is telling me to do this, but my head is telling me that Gawn is the guy. My head is definitely telling me that Gawn is gonna, in the next month, is gonna outscore Nick Daicos. I don't think that's crazy to say. Then the issue is actually here's a positive, right, of bringing in Gawn into that position is if De Koning stinks it up, as if Pitterner is back, which is a strong possibility, then we can just move him. We can move into the into R1. De Koning can go to whoever. It gives us that sort of flexibility. And I had a little bit of a play with this, right? Say next week, because we've got to project into our future trades, right? We can't just go 1 week at a time with trades. We're going to get a little notes up here. All right. Let's have a look. De Koning, if he was to get... So let's go players on the chopping block for next week. If he gets an 80 or something, and the ruck split is not good, and say I think where I would want to trade him is if Mackay is back against Geelong and Pitterner is still in the team. I think that's the trigger for me. If because they've got to sort of figure out what they want to do with all their tools. Next week you would think it's going to be Curnow in attack, De Koning, and then Pitterner in the ruck, right? Unless they bring in Lewis Young, that's a chance. Lewis Young played instead of Mackay for 1 round, so maybe they just bring him in and then we don't have to worry about De Koning. But let's say we have to get rid of De Koning. He gets an 80. He's at 557, right? TDK, 557K. And this is our round 6 trades, right? This is our round 6 trades. TDK, 557. Another player who will come onto the chopping block might be a bit early, but we need to use the money. He gets a 65. Luke Trainor. I think that's a fair score to say. 291. We don't need that yet. Trainor, 291. Okay, and then the other one, and this might be early as well, but let's say Pryor gets I reckon he might get a 65 against West Coast, 258. Let's say, I think we're not overdoing it there too much, right? Pryor, 258. And what's our leftover? Our remainder is 5K. Wow, we won't even bother with that. All right. Let's say if we traded those 3 out. Let's get the calculator out. 557, 291, and 258 equals a lot of money. What can we do with 1,106? What can we do with that? My first thought is there's 2 rookies. There's 2 rookies on the bubble. Well, actually, no, there's 1 rookie on the bubble. It'll be Carroll from Carlton. That's one that I'm very happy to get. So let's say that's negative 99. We've still got 1,000. Who can we get for 1,000? Cheeky Track. And the cool thing with Track, we're going to bring up the old CBAs. He actually got some more in the last game. So he could potentially 65. He could be trending upwards in CBAs, and then you have to get him. And he's a forward too. So we can get him, right? And let's say against Freo, let's just say he gets a 120, right? Just 491. This is just me being like, worst case scenario, am I going to be able to afford these guys? Negative 491. And then we got 516. And then that can be a guy who's going to go down even more in price because he has a high break even, 162. I don't even so with that break even, I don't really even need to do any calculations anymore. He'll be about 460. Would add 56k in the bank. That could potentially be, instead of Carroll, we get Saad El Ahly instead. If we see Saad El Ahly as a better option, right? Because we can't get him this week, old Saadi, but next week I'm not against paying a 160 for him. If he's looking good, I'll pay a 150, 160. So that's something that we can do next week. That's something that can happen. Really, it's all got to do with if TDK, if he's no good, he has to go, man. Look, if Pitnet's going to wreck him, I have to, you have to run. Let's have another look. So another option, right? You say if we didn't get rid of TDK, we don't get rid of TDK, and instead, you know what, we'll leave that there. Who's the other one we can get rid of? Let's say it's Knevitt. Let's say we get rid of Knevitt, right? Knevitt's no good, and we got to get rid of him instead. Or Kako, whoever else, right? Don't want to get rid of Levi just yet. I think he's a valuable piece. Let's say we get rid of Knevitt at 190k next week. We're going to boost, because we still have 2 boosts after this round. So me holding off on the boosts is kind of nice. It's sort of working in my favor now that I can just upgrade. How much is all that? 190 plus 291 plus 258. And what is it? One more. Plus 190. And we're going to go plus that remaining salary 5 just to help us out a little bit. Negative Carroll's price. Negative El Hooley's potential price. 413. It's probably not enough to get Tom Stewart, is it? That's not ideal. It means we'd have to get rid of, I don't know, who else would we want to get rid of? It's not going to be Ashcroft. Maybe Hall? Yeah. Cut early on Hall. What if he gets a 1? Yeah. Okay. So look, next week might be a bit difficult. If we're not trading TDK, we probably can't get an upgrade next week, which is not ideal. But in saying that, we can just go 2 down, get the best 2 rookies, and then the next week we can maybe even go 2 in. Who knows? In saying that, you know what? Maybe I do trade Roberts, and we just trade Roberts in this little package here, and we'll have a bit of money to spend. But anyway, I could go on about potential trades for forever. So let's have a look at VC and C's. Now this week I'm gonna have faith that Harry Boyd is not gonna play, so I'm not gonna bother with But what if Friday, Sherry and DeConing? Actually, you know what? We can do that. Because then, there we go. That makes sense, because I don't want to lock in these 2 positions. Now that actually works out very well. Shout out to Gawn, man. We needed you, buddy. We needed you. This is why I needed you. Brayshaw, maybe, as a VC. Actually, not even maybe as a VC. He's a pretty safe VC. And then captain, it would have been nice. Like, look, it would have been nice to go Daicos into Brayshaw, mid into mid, but that's not where we're going. So maybe even She's into Braish. Big. What's Sheasel done against the Carlton recently? Ooh, yeah. That's not too bad. And Carlton don't tag, Other than that, I don't really know what other captaincy options there are in the later rounds. Like, I don't really rate any of the other ones. Going down the week, Bailey Smith, nah. Yeah, I think I might have to go Shees into Brayshaw or Gawn. Yeah. Anyway, let's move into a little Draftland detour. What I will say with the Draftland detour is that I'm sad at the minute. I've got to make sure I don't release my waiver claims. The team kind of sucks at the. Well, not actually. It's not too bad. Look, I can't undo trades or undo changes, so I can show you what happened. But I fielded Powell. I didn't field Duggan. I fielded Briggs over Grundy because I thought that Briggs had a better matchup. Now I just know Grundy. We just got to have faith in him. Look, the cool thing is I have Nick Martin who got forward status. That's pretty cool. Now I can loop Graham and Myers. And, Philippu will come in eventually as well. So we're going to be pretty well stocked for forwards, which is nice. Josh Ward, disappointing. I didn't have him on the field, but he may have to be fielded this week. I don't know. We'll see what happens with waivers. But anyway, the team, look, the midfield is just disappointing. On paper, Green, Steele, Hayden Young, Wines, and Saligo should be a great 5, but Hayden Young rested forward a lot. Wines, I think he was a bit sloppy earlier in the game. Like, he made a few clangers from what I was watching. I think that brought his score down. And Saligo, he's a trap, apparently. But anyway, this week is a big week, actually. It is a very big week. So let's... This is being a bit slow now. It always gets slow when I get to the Draftland detour. So we lost to Nick, who in Classic last week was ranked 20. So, it's a strong Supercoach pedigree over there. Brody Grundy on the bench. That's just dumb. And then next week, huge game against North, aka Dino, fellow podcast member. He's doing really well. If we have a little look at the league ladder, yeah, he's undefeated up there with MA Lakers. See, I'm kind of pissed that I'm in the same winning. I have the same amount of wins as all these guys, but I get the worst of the waivers. It's kind of the worst of both worlds. So I've got 6th or whatever it is in the waiver, or 7th. It's trash. Anyway, a bit disappointing there. I want to have a little look at Classic. I want to go into leagues because this might be of interest. I'm in Scottfather Cup 7, which is doing really well. League ranking of 10. I thought we'd be doing better, man. We have Sujuk and Eggs. I think is he number 1 still? Yeah, Sujuk is number 1. So shout out to Sujuk, man. Yeah, what a gun, man. Like, it's an interesting team. Like, Briggsy's in there. He's got Reed, which is a nice rookie. He's made some money. I don't have him. Henderson. I'm glad I didn't have Henderson, man. I'd be upset with him. No, his team's, what did he get? 2-3-60. I think, yeah, Reed in the flex spot. Smart boy. Yeah, good on him. See, I'd thought about going Reed over Trainor, which it didn't really matter too much in the end. 30 points. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I just went with the crowd in the end. I was looking at the stats and I went that way. Anyway, nice competitive league. Abs, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Just coming down, man. What's happening? Poor bloke. He's not having the best year. Not having the best time at it, but we love his content, so keep that up, Abs. Yeah. Other than that, I think I've probably babbled on enough. Let me know what you think between Gawn and Daicos. I'm thinking Gawn. My mind is telling me Gawn. The ease of just having the flex spot still free and having Daicos there is pretty tempting as well. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And yeah, I don't know. But otherwise, look, I'm pretty happy with the way the team's sort of lining up at the minute. I can't really complain. Like, this is pretty solid, man. This is could be a lot worse, man. If you look at how many rookies we got on field now, we got 3 good ones in defense, 2 in the midfield. So 6 rookies on field and 17, primos. Roberts is a bit of a mid primo. De Koning could be a mid primo. You know what I mean? He could suck. But yeah, otherwise we're doing pretty good. And then next week, Track can come in possibly. Tom Stewart comes in possibly. Could be a bit of fun, man. But anyway, let me know what you think. Good luck with your trades, all that. See you on the next one.